Hello and welcome everyone, it is me, the lover, also known as How to Do This, back for you with another video. And today I wanted to talk about these new OCG reveals. This early morning we got cards for the Whitewoods archetype reveal. It's kind of a tie-in into the Diabelle, Synchro Spoil, Snake Eye universe, kind of showing what Diabelle and Diabelles were up to before, you know, our current point in time. Really think these cards are interesting. We'll try and quickly talk about these. Showcase a couple combos I've kind of liked at the moment in testing. It's been like 4 hours. So yeah, let's quickly run these down, take a look at the deck list and a couple combos, and yeah. With that, we start at young Diabelle, as you could say, in Asteria of the Whitewoods. This is a level 2 light spellcaster effect. 0 attack defense. She sends a spell trap from your hand off here to the graveyard to special a light spellcaster tuner from your deck. Of course, a lot of options there. Light spellcaster tuner is a very wide kind of area. You could be summoning like I think Guiding Quem fits that, and the Incredible Ecclesia. So, you know, maybe there's like a branded talk about that here. And if a spell trap is sent to your graveyard to activate a monster effect while this is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. It's both a starter, potential play extension, spoiler alert, it's play extension, and follow-up. So yeah, it's kind of good. Next up, we have another starter in Young Diabelles in Reset of the Whitewoods. This is another level 2 light spellcaster with 0 attack and defense. She sends a spell trap from hand of field to grave to special herself and then add a Whitewoods monster from your deck to your hand except herself. And if a light spellcaster tuner is special to your field during your opponent's turn while this is in your grave, you can add her back to your hand. Once again, good starter. Doesn't take your normal summon unlike Asteria, but also is like extension of. Still a good card though. Spoiler alert, the spell traps that you will be discarding for these effects, especially the archetypal ones, all add themselves back, but we'll cross that. We get there. First off, another monster here. We have a Sylvia of the Whitewoods, a level 4 light spellcaster tuner. Oh, we needed one of those. If this is normal special, add a Whitewood spell trap. Very good. And if this is in your grave, you can quick effect target a Whitewood Synchro in your controller in your grave. Return it to the extra, and if you do special this card, but its effects are gated. A very good way to not only recur your Synchros after you've gone through your initial setup, but also just a great way to secure more follow-up, which is kind of the point, which is a huge fan of that, huge fan of follow-up. So yeah, next up we have Arceia of the Whitewoods. These both have like tie-ins with the Sinful Spoils that Diabelle already has in Silvera and Arceella. Another light level 4 spellcaster tuner. If you control a Whitewoods monster, you can special her from hand. If you can send a spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to draw 1. Kind of cute, you know. Get that additional upstart goblin in potentially for essentially free. And if this is in your graveyard, similar to Silver, you can just put a Whitewood Synchro from your graveyard or you control back into the extra. Summon her with negated effects. Getting into those Synchros you'll be putting back, we have a Silvera Witch Wolf of the Whitewoods here at the start. A level 6 light spellcaster tuner effect monster, takes a tuner and a non-tuner, so technically generic. And if this is special summon, you can change all face-up monsters your opponent controls face-down position. Very good piece of interaction. You can set this up on your opponent's turn either with the trap or another one of the Synchros. And this is of course a great piece of interaction. Second effect is slightly less relevant. Illusion and spellcaster Synchro monsters you control gain 500. Also, if they attack a defense position monster, you inflict double piercing to your opponent, which is nice, but stop saying it, he's not playing it. Another level 4 light spellcaster Synchro tuner here in Arceella Wicked of the Whitewoods. This is the one that really ties it all together. If this is special summon, you can send a spell trap from your hand here to the grave to add a Whitewoods card or a light spellcaster monster from deck to hand. Very crazy. Synchro monsters or like extra deck pieces in general that interact with the main deck are always insane. And this either just grabbing you extension, potential interruption, or like any light spellcaster in the game, which is a lot of. Personally, at the moment, a huge fan of Dogmatica Ecclesia as an add-off of this. But there's a couple other options earlier, you know, Guiding Quam. You can, of course, also add Incredible Eclipse, the entire Dogmatica archetype. You know, go figure. So yeah, there's a good couple of options. Potentially also some stuff I'm not mentioning here. Still very early into testing for me with this, but I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it. It looks promising. And this gives your illusion and spellcaster Synchro 500. Also, they can be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then kind of capping all this off, we have Diabelle, Fiendess of the White Woods, a level 8 light illusion Synchro. Takes a tuner and a non-tuner. Both effects are hard once per turn. If this is synchroed using a tuner Synchro as material, you can target a spell trap and grave, add it to your hand. Very good recursion effect, straight up. Also sets up the second effect, because when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can quick effect send a spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, and then special summon a level 7 or lower tuner Synchro monster from your extra deck, graveyard, or banishment. Initially, you know, of course, Severa is an easy call here. Booking the entire opponent's board is a very good piece of disruption. But you can also easily use this to summon a Formula Synchron out of your extra deck. Sadly, don't get the draw, because Formula Synchron has to be Synchro summoned for that. But you can, with, you know, her being an 8, easily make like a big 10. Make like a Baron, which is always good. Or potentially a Satellite Warrior, which, if you've gone through like the normal line with this, will have 3 pops, which is kind of nice. Spells are fairly simple, as mentioned earlier. All these recycle themselves if they are sent to the graveyard for the cost of a monster effect, so I won't mention that part. Legend of the White Woods is a rotor if you control an illusion or a spellcaster monster for your White Woods monsters. And then, you know, recycling effect. Another normal spell here in Beware the White Woods. This, if you control a level 6 or higher illusion or spellcaster monster, allows you to target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. Searchable spot removal is always nice. Potential outs to floodgates, helps going second, or like force interaction. So yeah, good card. And then we have a quick play spell in Whispers of the Sinful Spoils. This targets an illusion or spellcaster you control, returns that monster to hand or extra deck, and then special summons an illusion or spellcaster from graveyard or banishment. This is like potentially something with which you're on like a turn 3, you could dodge like targeted interaction or like pops with this. But otherwise, it's here because it's a spell that recycles itself. And then we have Woes of the White Woods, a normal trap card that allows you to special a White Woods monster from your hand or deck, and then immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon a White Woods monster. Incredible piece of disruption. You still have the option to, you know, go into Severa off of this, but, you know, gets you another monster in rotation, and of course, it's just like another piece for the puzzle in terms of traps that traps. So with that out of the way, I'll quickly swap over to a dueling book and show you combos and the deck list that I'm currently working with. So yeah, I'll see you guys there. We are starting very simple. This is Asteria plus any Whitewood spell trap. I'm usually, when I'm doing these lines, I will probably take Beware, as it's like the least impactful one if you draw it going first. So yeah, we will go ahead and normal summon a copy of Asteria here. Use the effect, send a Beware the White Woods to special summon a light spellcaster for our deck. Double checking these once or twice. It's not been too long since I've been playing this, so yeah. You actually get to chain block this Sylvia because the Beware the White Woods will also trigger to reset itself, which is kind of cool. And the Sylvie will go ahead and add you a White Woods spell trap. I do like going for Woes. Woes is a very good card, especially since I am running a small Dogmatica engine with Nadir Servant, and this allows you to kind of work around that restriction and still play on the opponent's turn if you get like extra deck lock, if you have to like extra deck lock yourself with a Nadir Servant. From here, we will simply go into the Synchro 6 in RC Ella. RC Ella on summon will send Woes to the graveyard to add a light spellcaster or a Whitewood spell trap. Personally, a huge fan of going for Ecclesia here. You can technically also grab like extension and try and resolve like a reset if you do have like another spell in hand. But I feel like Ecclesia is good here. Also instantly live, and what happens now is very sick, because not only will the Woes trigger to set itself to your spell trap zone, but also the Asteria to special summon herself because you send a spell trap for, the cost of a monster effect, which is kind of cool. You can, of course, chain block these in like any way, shape, or form that you need them. This gets set, and we can then take Arceella and Asteria to put those into a Diabelle. If you had like a spell trap engrave here, a Diabelle could add that self back, be that a Nadir Servant, be that a Imperm you were forced to discard maybe for like your Asteria at the start if you didn't have like a spell, of course, which is kind of cool. But mainly Diabelle's just kind of chilling here at the moment. And then we can still, put, of course, the Dogmatica Ecclesia onto the board. You use effect. Personally, a huge fan of grabbing a punishment before grabbing Fleur-de-Lis. You can, of course, also add Fleur-de-Lis off of Arceella if you've already drawn the Ecclesia, which is kind of cool. It makes this like less bricky, like all cards are just always good to draw as an engine in this deck, which is very nice. And punishment, of course, is another good layer of disruption, as well as the Fleur-de-Lis if you, were able to search her or drew her. Otherwise, what are we looking at? In general, Diabelle is able to easily use her effect when your opponent goes for, their first card effect. Sending, I usually advise on, sending this guy here, because you're probably not needing that until, your next turn again. To put a monster from the extra deck onto the board. There is a couple options here, actually. You can easily go for, a Formula Synchron, which is kind of cute. Have like a Baron line that way, and because you send a spell trap to activate a monster effect, you do get the Asteria back, which is nice. So that's really cool. You can, use Formula and Diabelle for, a Baron, or as mentioned earlier, you can also go for a Satellite Warrior. And with, 3 Synchros engraved, that's a lot of pops. But I think very simply, Baron is like a good option here. And now there's a bit of silly stuff about to unfold, because you can use the effect of Sylvie to put back one of your Synchros. Let's say we put back the Diabelle to put her on the board again. And then we can use the trap to grab ourselves a copy of, where is she? Reset, just get her into rotation here. And then already, go for a Synchro 6 here and make the Book of Moon, which is also very good. You're of course getting this back because you're sending it for the Diabelle. Sadly not getting this back because you're, hard activating it, but even then, you're still working with like a lot of follow-up and have like a lot of disruption. You do have, pops off of Punishment. You have the books off of Silvera. You are able to have an Omni off of Baron, have like a couple pops off of like a Satellite Warrior potentially, which is very promising, especially with, the amount of follow-up this deck offers you. This is, I think, a very potent setup to work with. But let's look at this line. If you started with Rosetta instead of Asteria. Once again, fairly simple opening hand. We have a Rosetta here at the bottom. Whitewoods. We'll go ahead and send this to activate the effect of the Rosetta here in hand, which is able to add me a Whitewoods monster. If you had like another spell, there's like a case for going for Asteria here because you have not used your normal summon yet. But of course, we are working with the bare minimum, So we are going to grab a Sylvie here because we send this Beware. We can declare the effect of Beware and put it back into the spell trap zone. I do love free value. Free value is great. Going for Sylvie here. Sylvie will add another Whitewood spell trap, which is going to be Woes. As mentioned, huge fan of that, especially with a Dogmatica package in the main deck. We are going to turn those two into a copy of Arceella. No real surprises there. Arceella once again goes. Pitch the Woes. And then we can add a copy of Ecclesia. And put her on the board. We get to trigger the Woes here. Put that back in the spell trap zone. We got that for the follow-up turn. Ecclesia. To grab us that punishment. once again, pretty similar setup, but still very potent. Once again, punishment is here, which is a very solid piece of disruption. But Woes of the White Woods is also here because you get to fire Woes in this case for Asteria because you want her in rotation, and then you get to turn Arciela and Asteria in a Diabelle. Could of course also add a punishment if you've activated it previously, but generally, you will have the Woes to add that back. So you have, already a discard for the Diabelle. Diabelle, as I pointed out earlier, is easily able to, when your opponent activates a card or effect, send this Woes or the set one. But generally, why not just send the Woes to the graveyard here? You could realistically go for Severa here if you want the book, but you can also just go for a Formula Synchron for the Baron or Satellite Warrior play. Both lines are fine, just depends on what kind of action you want. You are just not getting to both in this case, which is not necessarily the worst. And once you commit to your play, let's say we go for a Severa here, because that gives us a bit more value. We can trigger not only the Woes in graveyard to set that back into our spell trap zone, but we can also trigger the Asteria because we've just sent a spell trap for the cost of a monster effect. But wait, there's more. Oh baby, a triple. We can also trigger Reset because now a Spellcaster Tuner is special summoned to our field during the opponent's turn. So we get to add back Reset, we get to special summon Asteria, and we get to reset the Woes. Woof. This is like a lot of value, as you can probably tell by now. The deck does play very grindy, is still able to set up a quite good couple of interactions off of your very simple 1.5, 2 card setups. Technically these are 2 card setups, but the cards spell traps always recycle themselves. Because even if you start with a punishment or have to discard an imperm, you can technically always add that back off of Diabelle's first effect, because she can add back any spell trap in your graveyard, which is very neat. Potentially also something where maybe looking into stuff like a Pot of Prosperity is worth it for this deck. So yeah, let's take a look at the deck list and then wrap this thing up. And well, this is what I am currently working with in terms of a deck list. Very simple lineup of the White Woods cards: 3 Asteria, 2 Arcia, 3 Reset, 3 Sylvie. And then in terms of the spell traps, we're playing a lot of 2-offs. 2 Beware, 3 Legend, 2 Whispers, and 2 Woes. This way you are probably seeing at least 1 spell trap, which is kind of the main goal. If you don't, just so happens to be that way, you can also of course, pitch an Imperm, and should be fairly fine in terms of plays. Don't know if maybe 3 Arcia is the way to go, because if you get on an Asteria and you have a Legend or an Arcia in hand, you can still try and make some things happen, which is of course very nice. So maybe that's a thing you can look into. I think this is something I caught by the grave here. I think these are almost interchangeable. Otherwise, the Dogmatica engine, nothing special, I think. Re-Ecclesia, Fleur-de-Lis, Two Nadir Servant, and Punishment. You could maybe look at a 3rd Nadir Servant. Want to cut the Called by. Or, 41, I think. Probably perfectly fine. But I don't think 3 Nadir Servant is all that important, because you do get to Ecclesia rather easily. And this way you just get to Ecclesia more easily. In terms of non-engine, you can play the format tags at the moment of 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Nib, and 3 Imperm. This is just most common hand trap lineup at the moment. I feel it's pretty good. Of course, this non-engine space will of course vary what you run here depending on your format and whole. Yeah, for the extra 1 Diabelle, 1 Arciela, 1 Silvera. In general, I feel 1-offs for these pieces are fine. Would probably look into a 2nd Arciela just to be safe in case she gets Bestialed, DD Crowed, or something similar. Satellite Warrior and Baron de Fleur are very good pieces to go into off of like a formula synchron. Satellite Warrior is like the main reason why I'm kind of debating if you really need access code in this, because Satellite Warrior kind of does the same thing. He's just not spell speed 4, so at the moment access code kind of sticks here. Draco Berserker is here for corner cases where you have like an Ecclesia left on the board, don't have a Fleur-de-Lis in the hand, and still have an Arseer in hand that you can special, because then you can, you know, make another 8. Another 8 for that, that's kind of cute, is Cyber/Harpy Lady. Is another bounce if you activate a spell trap, which you will probably activate at least one spell trap on your opponent's turn. A very simple, straightforward link lineup here. An access code talker, an Apollosa, Selene, a Liner, and an Artemis. Artemis is for corner cases where you need to turn like one of your Whitewood names into like an extra deck monster. Put a Dogmatica on the board. Otherwise, this link lineup is fine for now, I'd say. And then we have a punishment / Nadir Servant targets in a Titanic Clad, an Elder Entity Entis, and a Garura, the Wings of Resonant Life. So yeah, with all that out of the way, because I didn't mention it, let me know down below in the comments what you think of the webcam that I added to setup. Still kind of figuring out if, you know, what lighting I need and what else I need for this, but at the moment, it's fine. I think it's fine. Let me know down below what you think. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let me know in the comments down below what you think of the Whitewoods deck as a whole, if you're maybe looking to, you know, pick this up yourself or wanting to play this yourself. Drops, or, you know, of course, online simulators. So yeah, I will thank you guys very much for watching and be seeing you guys again next time. But until then, goodbye.